Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So, like, how did you get on the show, and like, what was your casting? What was your casting process like, and what would your advice be to anybody that wants to go on the show? I know that's a loaded question, but
yeah, no, I got you. So I got a DM from a gal who was like just a local recruiter.
Okay.
They were doing a Dallas open casting call, and she basically was like inviting me to it. And I think her job was just to literally like look for certain typecasts on Instagram that were local and invite them to the thing. And I was like, at the time I was working on the Kid Craddock morning show, which is like a big, nationally syndicated morning show where you talk about pop culture and a lot of these things. And I was kind of scarred by like, honestly, stories from people that had gone on The Bachelor about their experience with post-production and editing. And I was like, I am so easily villainized. Like, ain't no way you're going to paint me as the girl next door.
Yeah.
I won't give you any, even in my best moments, you won't have the content for it. So I like actually said no. And then I quickly realized after that, that being at Kid Craddock probably wasn't going to be a long-term thing for me. Yeah. And I was like applying at some other radio stations, and I just kind of gave it like you know what? Like if it's meant for me, it'll happen. If it's not, it won't. But I'm in this transition period anyway. Like, let's just see. So I DM'd her back and I was like, okay, fine. Like, what do I just need a spray tan and a cute hat. Like, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
And I ended up getting to skip the open call. I did a 20-minute phone call with a casting producer, and they just asked me questions and stories. I remember telling them about when my dad brought a Longhorn into my dorm room in college, and just kind of like these funny shock value, like wild things that have happened to me. And they thought I looked like Marilyn Monroe, and that was enough for them. And I felt highly complimented by that. So I was like, I will see you again. If these are the kind of things you're saying to me, we can meet again. So they pushed me through onto callbacks, and I had to go to a Dallas hotel, and it's the process is honestly like so fucking sketchy, actually. Especially being that I skipped the whole original open casting call portion of it. So I just like show up at this hotel, and then there's just this like guy taking like Polaroid photos of me in the lobby. And then somebody meets me, like a handler, and like walks me up into this hotel room that's like kind of turned into a set with just like some lighting and camera and audio. And there's my casting producer and then the girl who recruited me. And we just talk, film, whatever. And then the process from there is so long. I don't know how long Bachelor casting takes, but I was in casting for 5 months probably.
Oh, damn.
4 or 5 months. So like I started in like February or March, and then at that point it was like phone calls and fill out this thing and do this testing. I had to fly out to LA for semifinals, or I made it to semifinals. I don't think I had to fly out. I had to fly out to LA for finals. And this is where things got wild because one, you can't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Like you're under like strict order not to discuss anything with anyone, but then they also expect you to like pick up and leave your life for up to 7 days. And there's no like guarantee. You're not going to be gone 2 days or for sure 7 days. They will cut you in the process, but you have to make a 7-day time availability. So I'm like made up a lie-ish. It was not a lie. I told my work that my dad had fallen in some drain hole and ruptured his spleen, and that I had to leave for about a week.
But this didn't happen.
It did happen, but like 15 years prior. So like the isolated sentence itself was not a lie. He had fallen and ruptured his spleen. That was one sentence. The next sentence was, I unfortunately have to be gone for a week. That sentence was also true. They just were unrelated, completely unrelated things. But that's how you lose Big Brother, folks. You figure out a way to manipulate people to get on the show and then fucking fail. But anyway, I think they were kind of amused by things like that I would like how I could like reason my way around lying but not lying. But that still was like something to navigate. Mind you, I'm working for Kid Craddock morning show, and it was the iconic Kelly Raspberry's birthday party. And this is very niche content for the national listeners that have listened to Kid Craddock, but if you know, Kelly Raspberry has her birthday party every year at Big Al's Bar, and I'm part of the cast and part of the show, and like I need to go, but I was supposed to fly to LA that morning. So the lie was like kind of already in action.
Yeah.
Except for I get to the airport and my flight is delayed like 18 hours, like something super weird.
Yeah.
And I'm already packed and ready to go, all these things. And I have to basically Uber back home. I go to the birthday party because I'm like, just tell them like my travel plans had to change. Like, and it was kind of a work event. So it was like, I'll come for as long as I can. And then that kind of helped my lie. Like I'll be seen there. I literally like had my like suitcase like in the back alley and left from there to go to the airport. And I fly in from DFW to LA, and I I get there and I'm getting like transferred in the shuttle from like the airport to the hotel. There's one other person on this shuttle, and it's like a worker at an airport. Like he's wearing like a apron kind of thing. Like
An apron.
He's like a cook at one of the restaurants in the airport. It's me and him. And it's the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. in LA. And he just starts projectile vomiting.
Wait, I thought you were going to say you hooked up with him.
And we just start fucking in the back of this shuttle bus. God, no. He starts projectile vomiting, and the shuttle bus lady is like, there's nowhere, it's a shuttle bus, she can't just like stop in the LA streets, but we're making turns and we're turning left and we're turning right, and his vomit is just going back and forth, just sloshing across this shuttle bus, and I'm like up on the seat, like have like my suitcase above my head. I'm like praying. To me at that time, that might have been the worst thing that had ever happened to me. And things quickly changed after that, because being on reality TV is now the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I get there. I finally get to the hotel. They have no record of me. They don't know who I am because it's all booked
under names,
like the agency and the production company and all this stuff. And because all my flight stuff had been delayed, like I was already supposed to be there and be checked in. Like the handler is, it's moving parts, and the moving parts are moving and changing.
Pure chaos.
So I'm just like in the lobby of the hotel until like 6 a.m. when like 5 a.m. when like the shift changes, and I like see someone that like looks like they're, working on a TV show. And I'm like, please fucking help me. Fuck. I get to finally like do some interviews, and I remember them asking me at one point, like one of them just casually like an assistant, like a handler or somebody, before I go in with the EPs, and they're like, so where does your mom think you are? I'm like, bitch, you don't think my mom fucking knows exactly where I am? You think I can be gone from my mother for 7 days and be out of the state and her not know? I'm like, I don't know, man. But it's so wild, like the pressure they put onto you to like keep it so private and so secret, and like how much you have to sacrifice and be like prepared for it. You have to, for Big Brother, we film for 3 months, so you have to have your rent paid, or your bills paid, your dog's taken care of, like take off that time from work, and or just you quit your job, and none of it's guaranteed. And some people kind of start doing that before they're even officially cast on the show, because you don't know until you're on. Like there have been people that have gone through the whole thing and then made it to sequester, where we're just waiting before the show starts. Yeah. And they still don't make the show. They make a last minute change and they're kicked off the show. It was like a very exciting time, but a very like anxiously awaiting time, and not knowing who to. And they tell you in casting, like they're like, the game has begun. The Big Brother game has begun, because you see, especially when you're in LA in finals, like you see other people, but you're not allowed to talk to them. You're under like high, very, very controlled areas.
Environments, yeah.
So, but it's honestly like it was a wild experience. And I think part of my like crazy getting to final story, like honestly landed me on the show. I can't say that for certain, but I know like the dramatics of it all, and I'm like, I either am like absolutely definitely not meant to be on this show, or for the love of God, I've gone through all of this, and if you don't put me on this damn show, and I don't know which. But I think for Big Brother, like you have to realize what the show is and who you are to them. if you want to get cast.
Yeah.
Who you are to them. And to them, you're a storyteller. You have to, you narrate the episode. You have to be able to paint a picture, make a mouth movie. You have to like make something that's kind of boring and lame. Honestly, TBH, Big Brother, kind of boring, kind of lame sometimes, kind of super lame sometimes, TBH. And you have to make it exciting.
Yeah.
And so that's just something that I always tell people that are interested in the show, like getting on the show. I'm like, be a storyteller.
Yeah.
Like make everything very exciting and like add the dramatics, and whatever you do you. Don't waver from that at all. Stay so true to that, but just do it on steroids times 10, like you're pandering. Fucking pander, bro. Pander. Yeah. And I think that's my journey of how I got on, is that like I had interesting stories.
Yeah.
And I told them well, and I like had them kind of engaged in like what I had to say. And I wasn't afraid to like be a little outrageous. I remember in like one of the final days of EPs, sitting with the executive producers. You're in a room similar to this, with cameras and lights and whatever. And we wait, before we get to this moment, we wait in like a warehouse for like 8 to 9 hours in full glam, waiting for our 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes with EPs, however long they want us for. And there's, I don't know, 50, 60 of us, maybe less, maybe 30 by the end of the week, people have been cut. You sit there and you wait in your full glam, and they give us crap ass snacks, stale fucking Ralph's like craft service bullshit. And I walk up and get my time with these producers, and they're just like living the life of luxury. They have like the most outrageous charcuterie board laid out, and they're not even eating it. They're just like sitting there with their notes and their judgment. And I was like, y'all are fucking criminals. Like, I'm the talent, first and foremost. I'm the talent, okay? You would be nowhere without me, and I realize I haven't been on the show yet, but you're feeding us fucking stale Cheetos, and you have a smorgasbord of like meats and cheeses up here, dried fruits. There's spreads. I'm making a plate, and then we'll start the interview. And that's exactly what I did.
Stop.
And they like, I walked over to their like laid out area, and I made myself a little plate, and I sat down in front of the cameras, and I started to eat, and they thought it was so fucking funny. But then they were like actually trying to talk to me, and I was like eating cheeses, and they were like, okay, look, you can keep your plate, like you can take it, but you have to stop eating right now so that we can talk to you. And that was the agreement we came to.
Dude, but isn't it like you were just yourself? Like you were just basically yourself. I think
that's really I think the messaging. And Big Brother, like the cast type is different. Like we kind of go for like the more like average, just more representation of like what from what I remember when I was in the casting process, and things have changed. It's been 7 years for me. But they like went off of like the statistics of America of like how many of gay people are there? What's the percentage of this? And they tried to replicate that as best they could in the Big Brother house to have as much like diversity and representation, but also like that's part of the gameplay is like you're now in this house with someone who's wildly different than you, who's from a completely different place,
but I love
different
that
culture and like different beliefs, and you're meant to work together and or fight against each other and last man standing, whatnot. But it's just a very interesting process to be in casting, and it's a tough one to cast for, I think, because they're looking for such diversity and such specificity at the same time. Yeah. And they do 2 phases of casting. So I was in the first phase of casting, and like any other quirky, funny, big boob blonde girl from Texas in round 2, in phase 2, like they were already kind of set on me. Yeah. So they're not married to me. They're going to hear you out, but like I'm the pick. So like you really had no shot. Yeah. Anyone in my like in that arena had absolutely no shot against me. And so you kind of have less, like more competition and less opportunity in some ways. No, it's crazy. Because they're looking for, but then they might like want someone from your area, but like, but we need a gay, or we need, and then you're instantly out. Like, yeah. Or you're not gay enough, or whatever. Like you're not the type of gay they're looking for. No. So you have to fit this mold that you don't even know what it is. Yeah. So what would your advice be? Because I know a lot of people like want to get on. My advice remains kind of boring and lame, honestly, but just to be relentlessly yourself. I got really lucky. I was offered the opportunity. I was the first person that got all yeses on my season from EPs, and I got cast the first time I applied. Like that is very lucky. That doesn't happen for everyone. A lot of people apply. Someone's applied 14 times and then finally gone on and won.
Oh, damn.
And my ex applied 4 times. Like this, it is very...
I can't believe... Oh my God, I forgot you had the showmans too.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said anything.
Oh my God.